Heyo everybody, Haku here with my review for Magical Girl Raising Project, or Mahou Shoujo Ikusei Keikaku Limited Part 1. If you're new to this, I've been rereading through the series and doing reviews as I go, and I finished Limited Part 1, and I've gotta say, it wasn't great. So the first time I read it, a couple years ago when I read this for the channel, I thought that Limited was alright, and that the ending sucked. And I even think I did a video on how much I didn't like the ending and how it could have been improved, how it could have been changed. So this time around, I reread part 1, and I don't think it's actually very good, and I don't think it's horrible or anything, but it's just like, compared to the past two arcs, Unmarked is great. Unmarked's amazing. I love it even more than the first time I read. Restart, I always say, is one of the best things I've ever read, period, and rereading, I was like, I agree with my stance. It is very, very good. So then I go back to Limited, and I'm just like, wow, this isn't horrible, but it certainly doesn't live up to the first two arcs. None of the characters die, and ordinarily I'd be like, yeah, I'm fine with that. But you would think that because none of them die, there would be more time to develop them, but I come out of this feeling like I know characters less in a full volume of Limited than I did for the characters in Restart, even though some of them died in the first volume of it. Or like the entirety of Unmarked is around the same length of this. And I just feel like the characters are so much less developed. And in fact, when I've been rereading, I found myself, like, if you've watched my previous reviews, I've talked about how, like, I go back to Unmarked and I think I enjoy some of the characters more rereading it. I like and feel for and sympathize with characters like the Peaky Angels more rereading than I did the first time I read. Same goes for characters like Churn a Mouse that I like more rereading Restart. But I feel like rereading this, even characters that I kind of liked the first time, I'm like, wow, I don't really like them here. I feel like some of the characters I'm more down on after rereading Limited. I really hate being negative about things, hate doing negative reviews, but yeah, I really don't think this was awful, but it was very much not very good. Was there anything else before I break down the characters? You know, I think that maybe, yeah, something I had in my notes is that maybe if the deaths were paced out better, maybe that could make things better. Like if we had a few deaths here in the first half and we didn't rush everything in the second half, because again, I already know how this arc's going to end. But even then, I don't know what was going on here. It just falls so much short of the falls so short compared to the previous two arcs. I think the best way to go through it, like I kind of was getting at earlier, is to go through by character instead of going through sort of chronologically. So going through it by character, first off, I'm going to just lump Pithy's group in together as barely in it. We get the early introductions with them and the prison break and everything, but that's essentially it. That is all we see of them. It's very little. So they're basically not in the story. Next, I guess I'll just say background NPCs, which are actually, the background NPCs are some of the better characters, because at least I am not annoyed by them or dislike them. And I would say that's Hana and Funny Trick. So Hana really is great as a background NPC, but that is all she is. We don't see from Hana's perspective. Hana is just in the background of other characters' perspectives, or an opponent to fight against in other characters' perspectives, and even as an opponent to fight against, she's fairly bland. Just generally one of the more generic characters, a pretty bland one. And I like Funny Trick. I think Funny Trick is actually one of the smarter characters here, but we didn't really get to see much of that being shown because, much like Hana, Funny Trick is just in the background for pretty much all of this. For the characters that I didn't really like much here, or that I didn't think were good, because some of them I still like, but I didn't think they were good here, I really remember my first time reading, I remember liking Mana. But here, I read part 1, and she hopefully gets better in part 2, because Mana did nothing here except yell at Nanako-san. Mana wasn't helpful whatsoever. In fact, sitting around yelling and picking fights with her own team members while she's supposed to be the leader, and being a really inept leader at that. Mana kind of just was a net negative to the team during this arc, or at least the first part here. So yeah, I really didn't like Mana here. I thought that she was a character I really liked the first time reading, but rereading here, and again, I'm going through here with the official translation, she really just yelled at Nanako-san, and that was it. That was really all she did. Captain Grace sucks. I didn't like Captain Grace the first time I read. She was one of my least favorite characters in like all of Magical Girl Raising Project. Rereading, I still don't like Captain Grace. I just really don't like her, which is a shame because I love pirates and she's the pirate themed one, but she was not good. Toko's an annoying antagonist. Toko has always been an annoying antagonist. You can maybe say that makes her a good antagonist because she's the bad guy. She should annoy you. But yeah, she annoys me. And pairing with Toko is Rainbow. I don't think Rainbow was terrible, but I've also never really been a fan of Rainbow's character, so I wasn't a fan here either. Then lastly is another character that I liked. Another character that I liked the first time I read was Wedden. I thought that Wedden was one of the best characters, I think, the first time I read. And again, maybe the second volume will change my mind a bit, but the first volume here, Wedden is smooth braining it so far. She just goes along with whatever Toko says, and I get that she really wants to keep the magical girl powers, but she has so many opportunities to learn the truth about her situation if she just talks, if she just communicates. But Wedden, a character who should thrive off of communication, just will not communicate. Wedden is in so many advantageous positions that intelligent characters like Flea would usually take advantage of, and Wedden kind of seems in some ways like she's that type of character, but she just smooth brains it, just going along with whatever Toko says and missing every opportunity where she could find out the truth. Maybe even like she could keep her powers if she flipped sides, but she just smooth brains all through volume 1. And it was really annoying because she was a character that I liked before. But those are the characters that I think were either background NPCs, not around, or not good. The characters that I thought were good, Tepsukeme. Tepsukeme is just doing her best. She was pretty good throughout all of this, and I like some of the like existential stuff that we get into with her. I also think Posteree did a lot more than I remember her doing. I don't remember liking Posteree that much my first time reading, but I think she did quite a bit, and honestly, I kind of give her a pass on any sort of smooth braining. I don't think she is smooth braining because she is the one who is being the most directly deceived by Toko and Rainbow. She's the one that's being the most directly deceived, and even then she's like, I don't trust them. Even then she's like, Rainbow is suspicious as all hell. The things she's doing are not cool, but I kind of have to go along with it because she's my only friend, and without her, I'm just going to be all alone. And like, I can give Posteree a pass because at least she has a reason. All these other characters, Wedden's just like, again, smooth braining, going along with whatever Toko is saying, whereas Posteree is very suspicious of them. Posteree is like, this does not add up, the things they're doing are not good, but she has an excuse in being like, I can see that they aren't good, but I have to go along with them because I'm going to lose my only friend. And again, like I said, she's being manipulated directly by Rainbow. So I give Posteree a pass on that. And then I will say that Malpam was all right. Or Malpam, Archfiend Pam is what they say in the official translation. I don't feel like I have a good read on her character yet, but she did things. She was entertaining. I think, fair enough. I didn't think that she was a bad character, which is fine. I didn't get annoyed with her, which is good. And then there's like the top tier, the actual like really good characters. I'd say there are 3 there. First off is Nanako-san. Nanako-san isn't a fighter, but she's still very useful in the story. And not only is she useful in the story, but she's actually just rational. She's really thinking through this situation. She's kind of trapped in this situation. Nanako-san really just doesn't do anything wrong, where a lot of these other characters, the reasons I'm disliking them are because they do a lot wrong. And I'm not talking about just making mistakes, because characters can make mistakes and still be good characters. Look at Poster-E. But some of the things they're doing are just, like, mind-numbingly dumb at times. Then, next up, I would say the best characters, Ripple and Kuru-kuru Hime. Ripple is just actually really good, really smart. Same with Kuru-kuru Hime being, like, again, very suspicious of Toko, but sticking around because she's like, if I lose my memories, my students are going to have to fight against evil mages, and I'm not going to be there to protect them. I'm not even going to know what's going on, so I can't have my memories taken away. Again, much like Poster-E, she's like, she has a good reason to be here. She's being forced into it, but she is still questioning the situation that she's in, at least. Similar to Funny Trick, like I said, if we saw more of her, I would like her more. Just because she's not... There's one thing going along with it, because you want the powers, like Wedden or Captain Grace. It's not just about going about it because they want the powers, it's about going about it in a dumb way. Because Kuru-kuru Hime could want to keep the powers, but she's going about this in a smart way, whether she wants to keep them or not. So that's why I think it's better. And also, Ripple and Kuru-kuru Hime, the first opportunity they get, communicate. The first opportunity that Ripple gets, she's like sort of relaying her situation and how she's being forced into this team or whatever. She's relaying that and saying, hey, this is why we're after you. This is why we're arresting you. We are actually the official people. Something that other characters like Hana and Mana are neglecting to do. Actually communicating, hey, this is my position, this is what's going on, we're not evil mages, we're trying to capture you and everything. And Kuru-kuru Hime, again, tries to run it first because she doesn't want to die, but at the first opportunity that she gets to talk to somebody, she relays what's going on with her situation and how Toko turned them into magical girls. And learns about what's going on from the other side of things, instead of just, again, like what Wedden was doing, keeping herself in the dark, where that's very much not to her own benefit. So Kuru-kuru Hime and Ripple, to me, were easily the best. Nanako-san was also great. She did nothing wrong. I think another thing, I was fairly negative on this, and a part of me was thinking to myself, I'm like, is it also because I don't have the mystery? When you're reading through the first time, you don't know who the evil assassin is or whatever. You don't know what's going to come next. Would that mystery make this better for me? Maybe. I can't tell. But maybe. That was something that I thought about, though. I don't think it's a huge factor. The Magical Girl politics stuff with the different groups and, you know, the plays that they're making behind the scenes, I think is both good, but a little bit tough to follow. I think it's a greater part of the overall narrative of like every volume tying in together and things escalating volume by volume, arc by arc. So I think it's good, but also I do find it a little, like, personally, this might be, you know, skill issue. Maybe it's just on me. I do find it a little bit hard to follow at times. Flez's involvement in all of this, I'm not a fan of. I just feel like it makes Flez seem like a really evil, crappy person. When I just got done reading Restart, and Flez was an incredibly good character there, in the sense that Flez was willing to do whatever evil, underhanded, deceitful tactics she needed to in order to protect Momori, in order to take care of Momori, in order to make things okay for Momori, for Shadowgale. She was willing to do whatever it takes, even evil stuff. But here, it just feels like she's doing evil stuff, and she's not really benefiting from it. If anything, I feel like her and Shadowgale, I feel like this causes much more trouble for her and Shadowgale in the future. So Flez's involvement here, I really don't like it. It just seems like she's evil and for little reason. Also, like, some suggestions on how I think it could be improved. One thing I thought about to myself is maybe one cool thing that we had in Restart was the master side where we get into Keek and or Snow White at the end of each chapter. I thought that maybe instead of doing the pithy stuff and the prison escape the way they did, maybe that should have been like a master side thing. maybe at the end of every chapter there should have been a small section of a couple pages about Pithy's group, you know, joining up, their escape, the stuff they did where they went to eat, made it to Japan or whatever. Maybe that should have been in little segments at the end of every chapter, which leads up to the very end where they come in during the middle of the fight that was going on and interrupt like the Hana and Captain Grace stuff, like what happened at the end. So I think that maybe pacing it out like that could have improved things. But yeah, I guess that's all I got. That's all I got for Restart. Thoughts were a little scattered, a little all over the place. Overall, I said it already, I didn't think it was horrible, but at the same time, it was not very good. It definitely didn't live up to the past volumes, to the past arcs. And now, I guess it's time to see if I hate the ending as much as I did the first time around, because now I gotta go on to part 2. So either way, thank you all for sticking through the review. Thank you all for being here through all of this. I'm going to continue to reread through the series, and then once we get to Queens, I'll go back to doing reactions like I did in the past. But that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. Like if you did like the video, comment down there to tell me what you thought of this volume, what you thought of my thoughts on it, and all that. If you want to talk on Twitter or Discord, we can. The server is free and open for anyone. Just ask and I can give you a link to the Discord server. And if you'd like to help support the channel, super thanks down below would be appreciated. But if you want one piece of it early, if you want a shout out at the end of videos, you can hit join down below to become a channel member, or go to patreon.com/Haku of the Tubes, or a link will be in the description to become a patron. And thank you, huge thank you to people who are already patrons and channel members. Thank you to Chosen Regular Evan Holly, to Magical Girls FR Nono and Smeller Dog, to Cherryton Student David Langstaff, to Slayer Candidates SG and Stan Cedar, and to Pure Element Pate Artie Owl. Thank you all so much for watching, and yeah, I'll see you all next time.